Okay, so this is something that I just heard about recently. And honestly, when I saw the headlines and the news, um, I couldn't believe my eyes. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily surprise me that this is actually a thing because a lot of people feel like Ash and Pikachu are characters that the series should have left behind a long time ago. But then again, without Ash and Pikachu, it seems like Pokemon didn't really have much of an identity. And the thing is, like the Pokemon series has been around since the mid '90s. I think it got started in Japan back in '97. It became available in other countries worldwide, like the anime became available in other countries worldwide. And the thing is, the anime itself is considered to be iconic. And honestly, I think that Ash and Pikachu were a huge part of the reason why Pokemon got as big as it was, and a lot of people thought Pikachu was mainly like the main star of the Pokemon franchise when it first started because, like, even though Ash was the main protagonist, for whatever reason, like a lot of people really didn't like him, and and it was to a point where if you look at the original Pokemon games, like from Gen 1 and Gen 2 and I think 3, um, I don't think Ash was even a playable character in the game. It's like you had to create your own character, give him a name, and then you had to face your rival during certain parts of the game, whether it was red or blue, or depending on what game you got, you had a rival that you had to go against. And surprisingly, Ash Ketchum's exclusion from the video games didn't necessarily hurt his popularity because despite the fact that he wasn't he wasn't necessarily beloved or he wasn't as beloved as Pikachu, he was still popular to a point where he had been around the Pokemon series as long as he was. And I think there's been like at least 25 like seasons of Pokemon since its inception. And I think it's gotten to a point now where the video game series has pretty much overshadowed the popularity of the anime series for the most part. At least that's just my personal opinion. But I believe that Ash and Pikachu, they're supposed to be arriving in the final episode. I believe today or something like that. I read it was on July 22nd in Canada, and that for like people who want to watch the final episode in America, it's going to be available on Netflix, and you have to wait until this upcoming fall in September to see that. But honestly, this is definitely an end of an era, and a lot of people thought the Pokemon series would have ended a lot sooner than it did, but the series is still very popular, and some might argue that the series is not as popular as it once was, but at the same time, um, it's something that appeals to a wide demographic of people in general, whether it be children or adults or what have you. Pokemon is still very popular. I mean, you just look at the video games; they still sell millions. They're still highly successful. But a lot of people would go on record and argue that the golden days of the Pokemon series was during was from like Gen 1 up until like Black and White. And in terms of video games, a lot of people liked Pokemon X and Y and even Sun and Moon. But I don't think Pokemon was quite as popular in the teens decade as it was in the late '90s or the 2000s, despite the success of Pokemon Go, which was arguably the most profitable game that came out during the teens decade. But I do feel that the series moving on and trying to find new characters or trying to build like the story around new characters is something that's going to be interesting, especially since the spotlight has been on Ash and Pikachu for so long. I mean, you look at the Detective Pikachu movie that came out a few years back. That was way more successful than a lot of people had expected. So that goes to show you that even without Ash Ketchum, Pikachu is kind of like the face of Pokemon, and it's kind of hard to picture a Pokemon anime series without, Pikachu being the face of it or being the main Pokemon. And despite how many starter Pokemons that we've got to see over the decades, whether it be Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, all of them. Despite how many starter Pokemons there have been, Pikachu is always seen as the main Pokemon. And with this upcoming series, Pokemon Horizons, we're supposed to be seeing new characters like Liko and Roy. And honestly, I think like the first couple episodes supposed to be in the Kanto region, and I believe that's where like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet takes place in terms of setting. And honestly, I'm not exactly sure what to expect from this. In fact, I have no idea um, when this is going to air in America, because I know already started airing in Japan, because the first episode was back on April 14th, I believe, and it was on TV Tokyo. And I would give it until maybe next year or sometime in 2025 for the American version or the American English dub to appear in this country, probably on Netflix. But this kind of came as a shock to me, Ash and Pikachu appearing in their final episode. And this is historic, because it's been like 25, 26 years since these two characters have been heavily featured in the anime. And I'm pretty sure that, like, for the most part, their departure is going to have a significant effect on the rest of the series. In fact, I'm surprised that they're not I'm actually surprised that they're continuing the series, altogether, because a lot of people feel like, it's been going on way too long. But at the same time, it's one of the longest running animes ever, along with Bleach, because Bleach has been around, I think, since like the 90s as well. And I think, for the most part, Ash and Pikachu, um, they're considered to be one of the most iconic anime duos of all time. And at this point, I'm not exactly sure whether or not what they have planned with Pokemon Horizons is going to be, big or popular enough to kind of fill that void once those two characters are gone. And and I'm not even sure whether or not Pokemon Horizons is going to be a part of the main series or if it's going to be a spin-off. Um, if it's a part of the main series, then I think that's going to be very interesting, because I guess there's more freedom and flexibility in terms of storylines. But some people believe that it would have been better off if the main series continued with Ash and Pikachu, and that Pokemon Horizons would be a spin off to the main series. But I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. But either way, this is something that I definitely had to talk about. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that myself, along with a lot of people, are are shocked by this news. And honestly, we hope that the creators could put out a better product than what we were given with Ash and Pikachu as the main characters of the Pokemon series.